I'm in a bind, Nate.
So, I hadn't really said anything about it. I guess I have to be motivated to say something about news stories that keep popping up. And eventually I have to look for an aggregate of those stories in order to bother opining on them. And I just was listening to a video. Basically, he was talking about corporate KIESHA. So by corporate KIESHA, he's basically talking about black women in corporate America, right? And I believe, because I've been a black man working in corporate America, and I hated corporate America. I really hate corporate America. I hate it. And there's various reasons why I hate it, which I'll talk about later. But when I pulled up the news and sorted it by date, these were the main stories that I saw pop up. I'm not going to probably talk about all of them, either that or I'll hop and skip from one to one, because this way, I won't take too much time, because I could talk about this shit for days. I mean, there's more than enough. There's more than enough stories. So the first one here, you got Essence. It says, meet the black woman steering P&G's multi-billion-dollar empire and redefining corporate leadership. Next story, Black Enterprise. Black women's corporate catfishing on LinkedIn exposes bias in hiring. Black women are being hit hard by the Trump layoffs and firings. It chips away at morale and self-worth. We'll get to that one, absolutely. Why black women are turning job loss into a new era of entrepreneurship. So basically what that means is you lost your job and now you're trying to sell stuff. And we all know that the vast majority of businesses fail. And ultimately, you're probably better off getting back to work or getting another job. Okay? Why black women still struggle to reach CEO roles. The impact of shrinking DEI initiatives on black women in corporate and higher education spaces. The impact of shrinking DEI initiatives on black women in higher. Yeah, I'll get to that in a little while, but here's my issue. DEI ain't done shit for me. So I'm a black male in my 40s. DEI has not done a goddamn thing for me. DEI has worked for LGBT. It's worked for women in general, white women specifically. And the reality is, what DEI ultimately does is it forces businesses to hire people you would normally never, ever hire before. But we'll get to that in a minute. 300,000 black women lost their jobs and we're not talking about it. Future CEOs erased. The economic cost of losing black women in the workforce. Black women's unemployment spike. 2025 warning sign for U.S. economy. Black women pushed out of the workforce as economic lynching. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I have to do that one. Got to use the word lynching because you got to make it racial. Okay, so let's see. Black women's corporate catfishing on LinkedIn. I can't go through these entire things because I don't want to make this video 5 hours long. I don't want to do it. So it says black women's corporate catfishing experiment is being transformed into a docu-series exposing the harsh realities of black life in corporate America. Black woman who posed as a white woman on LinkedIn to land job interviews is revisiting her goddamn pop-up. Stop it. Corporate catfishing experiment in a new docu-series. After months of unsuccessful job hunting, Aaliyah Jones went undercover as a white... How do you go undercover as a white woman? On LinkedIn to see if her results would change. Her 8-month experience captured in the docu-series... God damn these fucking pop-ups. Being black in corporate America revealed clear racial bias in hiring practices. I made that fake white LinkedIn profile out of frustration, but also out of grief, Jones wrote on Kickstarter, because no matter how qualified I was, how articulate, how buttoned up, being black still meant being overlooked. And the DC-based digital storyteller chronicled her 8-month LinkedIn experiment, shocking the community by revealing that her white woman catfish profile received more recruiter inquiries than her real account. I was tired of not getting hired and being overlooked, Jones explained to Refineries 29 Unbothered. I studied for interviews religiously, showed up on time, got stood up, traveled across cities, made it to the final round, and still got nothing. After a while, it stopped feeling like a coincidence and started feeling like a pattern. That's when I decided to run an experiment. After sharing her story, it quickly went viral, drawing messages from countless others with similar experiences. Jones set up submission forms for people to share their own stories, and within a week, over 300 had signed up. Despite pressure to repeat the experiment, she chose to honor her boundaries, keeping it a one-time lived experiment. However, the response inspired her to transform the project into a documentary, for which she is now seeking funding on Kickstarter. Corporate Catfish did exactly what it was meant to do: spark conversation, open eyes, and create community, Jones said. The documentary will feature intimate interviews, visuals, and historical archival footage to examine the lived experiences of Black professionals across industries, spotlighting the emotional toll, constant code switching, and everyday resilience required to navigate these environments. Phase one of Jones' Kickstarter campaign seeks $10,000 to cover production crew costs. Following a previous campaign that fell short of its $50,000 goal and was delayed due to a series of racially motivated attacks. With Kickstarter support, Jones is moving forward with plans to film in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Los Angeles, and other cities to create an unfiltered portrait of Black professional life. This isn't about chasing another viral moment, she writes. It's about creating something that endures, a film that speaks for us, to us, and because of us. Okay, first of all, let me just say this. Okay, so I'm a Black male in my 40s. And I can honestly say that I have never really asked anybody for help to do a job interview or to get a job. Now, there have been people in my family who've had positions of power, and I absolutely will say right now, because there's always the chance that one of them are listening. What I will say is that the people in my family, I've been absolutely disappointed in how they have leveraged the hiring power that they've had, especially when it comes to people who are in my family. I've had people in my family, women specifically, and I personally think that they did a poor job managing their hiring leverage with their kids. Their kids. Now, these are their kids. I'm not even talking about me. I think they did a poor job, because you know how I always complain about how I think these kids are spoiled. A lot of times I talk about people in my own family. And the thing about it is, I've had people in my family who had hiring leverage, and they had done such a shit job spoiling my cousins or their kids, that what ended up happening was they basically didn't really put them into anything. They didn't put them into positions where they could, work, and they could continue to work and have a career job. And I've had people in my family who could have hired people, and they did a shit job handling it, specifically the women, and they've been in positions of power, and they did a shit job handling it. I was offered a job once. It was a job interview. I had come back from China. I was fresh back here. I was damn near falling asleep and when I went to this job interview. And I'll be perfectly honest, I blew the job interview. And basically, I never asked for help again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Everything I do myself. I'm like Thanos. It's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And sure enough, I've done better working on getting my own job interviews, pounding the pavement. Because it's not enough. First of all, the hiring scene is totally different than what it used to be. It used to be, okay, you send somebody an email, a resume, and then maybe you get called in for an interview and you go and interview and everything. No. I've had to pound the pavement and go door to door when I wanted to look for jobs. Didn't ask anybody's help to do it. And the very last job, for example, that I actually wanted, that I got, I did it simply by pounding that pavement, pounding that door, getting in there, letting them know who I was and everything, and I got the job. And I got it in a nick of time, because it turned out that at the time they absolutely needed somebody. And when I got that job, I kept that job, and that was it. I've gone to jobs where I've gotten hired right away because I was an excellent interviewer. And, this whole thing about code switching, yeah, of course you have to code switch. You have to. Most people who can code switch will get the job, because, first of all, you got to understand, especially with corporations, they tend to have to hire diversity simply because they want to capture the money of diverse people. If you want a job at Mercedes or BMW or Audi selling cars, they will hire you if you're clean looking and you have that ability to code switch. Because when one of these people walks in off the street and they want to buy a car from one of those places, they want to have somebody ready where they can say, oh, okay, a Chinese couple just walked in. Do we have anybody who speaks Chinese? Yes, send them. Oh, a black couple just walked in. We want to send a black person to greet them. Oh, and that's the point. It is what it is. These people have the right to hire whoever they want to hire. Some people don't accept that, and people who don't accept that, you're better off working in a civil service job. In fact, a civil service job might actually work out better for you because the job security is higher than a corporate job. Corporations lay off people left and right just because the stock prices slide. So, long story short, these women in general are complaining, first of all, that they don't get paid what the men get. They're complaining that, that they're getting passed over for Becky in this case. Because the bottom line is, again, these corporations are going to hire who they want to hire. If they decide that they want to put a white female at the front, then they're going to put a white female at the front. And you being not a white female means you ain't getting the job. If you're a man, you ain't getting the job. If you're a white female, okay, you have a better opportunity of getting a job. That doesn't guarantee you're going to get the job, because I guarantee you, if you come in there with that green hair, that blue hair, and that nose ring shit, you could be a white female or not. They ain't going to hire you. That's what DEI was for. DEI was basically to force quotas on these people. Oh, we have to have a certain number of LGBT. We have to have, the queer and the bi community is underrepresented. We have to hire at least one or two of them. Once Donald Trump got in office, and I keep saying the same thing, all of his enemies and anybody who knew that Donald Trump hated them and they hated Donald Trump, when he got into office, y'all should have had your bags packed and been ready to move, just like Rosie O'Donnell, to whatever country it is that you felt you could move to. Because you should have known, once he got in office, it was war on you. He was coming for you. It was revenge on you. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's why they call it the bully pulpit. Black women specifically hate Donald Trump. They were, for the most part, overwhelmingly going to vote for Kamala. So here you got this other story. What is this? Where's that story? It says black women and Trump. Where does it say? Oh, yes. Black women are being hit hard by Trump layoffs and firings. It chips away at morale and self-worth. First of all, again, corporate jobs do not offer the security of, say, civil service. This whole idea of corporate KIESHA, we were basically introduced to that back in the 90s with all those sitcoms. You remember Boomerang, the movie with Eddie Murphy? That was a corporate KIESHA. You remember Living Single? We are living single. Oh, in the 90s kind of world, I'm glad I got my guy. You remember that bullshit? That was pre-Beyonce. With the, what's that song that she sings? All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single... No. What's the other one? Independent. All the ladies, independent, throw your hands up in the air. All the ladies, independent. So what do you see out of corporate KIESHA? Corporate KIESHA runs out there to buy a Mercedes. It's either and she can't afford the big shit. She can't afford like the GLS. No. She has to get that GLE on lease, and that shit is fucking, it ain't got nothing in it. Like, anytime I see a corporate KIESHA and they got a GLE, the first thing I'm checking for is cooled seats. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I'm checking for cooled seats. I'm checking for massage seats. You know why? Because the base GLE only got heated seats. The base GLE ain't got no heated steering wheel. You got to pay like $300 or $400 for that. Now, if you want that multi-contour seat package, oh no, you gonna pay top dollar for that GLE 450 Or you go, so what does corporate Keisha drive? A lot of corporate Keisha's got the GLC. Why? Because the GLC is cheaper than the GLE. You see where I'm going with this? When I see the corporate Keisha with the GLC, what's that first thing I'm checking for? Does it have multi-contour seats? Uh-oh, this one does not. You bought the base model. You know why? Mercedes has shitty lease deals. Their leases are terrible. It used to be Jaguar. Uh-oh, Jaguar F-Pace. That's what it was. They were getting the Jaguar F-Pace. What am I checking for? I'm checking for them heated and ventilated seats. Oh, you don't have it? Oh, so it looks like you got the base model. Uh-oh, what about who else? Range Rover, Evoque, that cheap-ass Ford Escape. That's what that really is. It's a Ford Escape, and it's got electrical problems more so than the Ford Escape. I'm checking up in there to see what kind of equipment you got. That's the bottom line. Corporate Keisha, well, she can't afford the active multi-contour seat package. Now, I know what I'm saying sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people understand exactly what I'm saying. So the bottom line is, she ran out there to get that Mercedes, so she got that BMW X6. That shit ain't got no extra equipment in it. Same shit. Where's them heated seats? Where's them cooled seats? Where's them massage seats? You ain't got it. You got the base model. And then right now is having trouble just holding on to those cars. You know why? Because they losing their jobs. You see, I would have thought during COVID, women had learned that all of those cushy office jobs can disappear just like that. What happened? The cushy office jobs, everybody couldn't go to the office buildings. So they said, no, you got to stay home because we're not allowed to come to the office buildings. A whole lot of women got cut right off, unemployed overnight. Now, some of those businesses, okay, well, we can keep you on as a remote worker. But a lot of those jobs, they cut them off, cut them right off. Now, that hit everybody. That hit white women, that hit black women, that hit Hispanic women. It didn't really matter. So all those jobs that they had, a lot of those jobs, they just shut right off. That means that they didn't get those, what are those things? Paychecks so that they could pay them student loan bills. So student loans knocking at your door. Yes, hi. We're student loans. We're looking for KIESHA, and KIESHA owes us $82.50 this month. They're knocking at your door. KIESHA can't pay that and pay for that GLE without the heated, cooled massage seats. So KIESHA had to make a decision. They all had to make. Becky had to make a decision. See, women get hit first. That's what they'll never seem to understand. You know who didn't lose their jobs? Plumbers, electricians. You know who does those jobs? Men. Those same blue-collar men that KIESHA has no respect for because he's not Dr. Plumber, or he's not Dr. fucking electrician, or he's not Dr. roofing repair. The same men, those same blue-collar workers that she has no respect for, they still working. So that's when KIESHA comes knocking at your door. KIESHA's knocked at my door a couple of times. You hear that knock? And I'm like, who the fuck is this at my door? You know, I'm right now, I'm in my house. My ceiling fan is off. I was thinking about turning it on because, kind of gets kind of warm. It's like 80 degrees outside. Sometimes I'll be doing absolutely nothing. And I'm just chilling, enjoying my house. And next thing you know, I get that knock at the door. Now, the last knock at the door was this German girl, which you probably, if you watch my community chat, you probably saw a German girl. When I got my iPhone, German girl pops up out of nowhere. I swear to God, I come home, setting up my iPhone. The iPhone's trying to download all the information from the other iPhone. I get this German girl. I get this white, blonde German girl. Now, I watch a lot of World War II movies. I watch a lot of Nazi flicks like Schindler's List. And I watch all of them. Like, what was the last one I was watching? Well, Schindler's List, I watched that a lot. I love that movie. And them German girls. I had this German girl come to my door, and she wants to switch me from AT&T to Verizon. Now, my phone wasn't even able to do much of anything because it was transferring files from one phone to another. Because I'm going from the iPhone 14, I was going over to the 17. Out of nowhere, German girl pops up at my door. Now, I'm looking around, I'm like, yo, what are you doing in this neighborhood at this time of day? Like, it's not a violent neighborhood. The neighborhood's safe. But I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, it's like, what are you doing here? Like, she's not even your regular white Becky. This is some German girl. Oscar Schindler loves girls. Oh, Der Schöpfer, you didn't see this girl. You know what I'm saying? If you saw the movie. But I'm saying, I got a German girl pop up here, and she's up there trying to switch me from AT&T to Verizon. So what do? Of course, I invite her right in, offered her some drinks and offered her coffee and all this. And she was with me for a good 5-6 hours. No, well, not five. Well, because what happened was she was there for at least 2 hours. And then I was like, yo, listen, it's getting late. You should be going home. I don't know what the hell you're doing around here at this hour, especially because you're alone. She was alone. Usually when women come to my door, it's usually they're with a guy. And I was like, wait a minute, you're here alone. What's going on here? Is this a setup? But and by the way, this was right after that Ukrainian chick got stabbed up on the bus. So, well, the train. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? You really should go home. You know, it's kind of late. Oh, no, I don't worry about such things. I'm just making sure that I'm giving good customer service. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. This is not Germany. This is America. This is a very dangerous country, especially for women. This is an extraordinarily dangerous country. See, I'm looking out for her. After, what was her name? Narushka, or whatever the hell her name was, on that train. Because, you know, the mentally ill dude stabbed the shit out of her. And I'm looking for this. I'm looking at this German girl. I'm like, I got to get you out of here. Because it's late. And, you know, you're German and I'm black and you're in my house and everything. Something could go wrong. And I was like, let me get you out of here. So anyway, she leaves and then comes back the next day because I told her, I was like, okay, come back tomorrow like 3 o'clock. And she comes back 3 o'clock on the dot. 3 o'clock to damn near 8. She's in there doing my transfer and getting me onto the Verizon. So now I've got Verizon. I'm done with AT&T. I'm on Verizon now. And, and I'm keeping in contact with her because I got her phone number and everything, and I might go hang out with her. I didn't ask how old she was because I know she's old enough, she's an adult and all that. But the bottom line is, it's like, I don't even remember what my point was. It was something about women working. Yeah. Blue collar work. These women in general, these American women, they had no respect for blue collar workers. Working men, I should say. I don't even remember why I brought up the German girl. I'm trying to remember why I brought up the German girl. It was something about women. Oh, yes. Women going door to door. So sometimes I get this German girl. Well, I got this German girl this time. I've gotten Church of Latter-day Saints, Becky's, come to my door. And I'll be in the parking lot. And I get approached by Becky, Mormon Becky. I'll call her Mormon Becky. And they just walk right up to me. Oh, hi. Because I think a lot of people avoid Jehovah's and Mormons because they just don't want to deal with any of that. They don't want to hear it. But I got Mormon Becky come up to me. And, oh, would you like to go to church with me? And I'm like, I've never been to a Mormon or Latter-day Saints church before. But, since it's you, I'll go. So I go to the Mormon church. And, it was okay. I mean, they did the service and, they had Bible study afterwards. Usually we do that before. And I even went to the Christmas party with her. Mormon Becky was awesome. Sometimes I get the knock at my door. It's a freaking solar panel. It's always a woman trying to sell me solar panels. And I'm like, listen, just because you see these cars outside, you see I got an electric car. That doesn't mean I need no goddamn solar panels. If I wanted solar panels, I'd have them. And by the way, do not get solar panels unless you're buying all of the equipment, because you got to understand, when you buy solar panels, they put a lien on your house, and that means that you can't sell your house. And not only that, if something happens and you do have to sell your property, they have a lien on your property. So yeah, you really shouldn't buy that stuff unless you're paying for it and setting it up yourself, or having somebody set up equipment you bought. You really shouldn't let these people just do that. Just a warning. And by the way, I think it's certain companies make better solar panels than other companies. Now, I would love to have solar, but the problem is I need to dormer first, and I wouldn't be buying anything on the roof until I added dormering first. So I wouldn't be doing any roof work. But they come right up here, knock on the door, and they're like, yeah, you're interested. I'm like, oh, shit. And you get these people from Sunrun and Solar City and all this. And I'm like, listen, I don't even feel like dealing with this bullshit. The last one I let in the house, Puerto Rican. She's Puerto Rican. And she looked good. She looked like Jennifer Lopez. So I let her in. And she's trying to get me to sign paperwork. And, I was like, nah, I ain't doing this. It was like, no, I'm not. And I ended up, I was like, no, thanks, but no thanks. I ain't doing this. I hate to waste your time. But the German girl, oh, no, Oscar Schindler, she signed me up for Verizon. So I'm on Verizon now. But what was I saying? As far as these women knocking on your door, eventually you're going to get that knock on your door. I'm in a bind, Nate. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get that I'm in a bind, Nate. That's a really tough position, especially for a single man who's got his own houses. That's a really tough position with the I'm in a bind, Nate. But here's the story. It says black women are being hit hard by the Trump layoffs and firings. It chips away at... So all of these women who had these nice, safe, comfortable, cushy government jobs. Think about the Department of Education. That was like the first thing he hit. First thing he hit was the Department of Education. Vast majority of the women who work in that are white women. Those are not black women, which... I keep wondering, when exactly is white America going to turn on Trump? I don't know, because he's putting his foot right up their ass. And the first thing he hit was the Department of Education. The vast majority of workers are female and they're white women. And he went right after them. So it's like when I hear somebody say, yeah, Trump's a racist and all that, I'd be like, yeah, he very well might be, but he's doing as much of a job on white people as he's doing on blacks. So I don't even know what to call him. But anyway, it says, yes, on 30th May 2025, doctor. Okay, now she's a doctor. What did Kevin Samuels say? She's got a PhD? My thing is she a medical doctor or is this some liberal arts degree? Because that's the problem. Corporate KIESHA demands that she has a title. Now, if you're in a civil service position, a lot of these civil service working KIESHAs are trying to get doctorates because they want you to have to call them doctor. That's what this really comes down to. Same thing goes for these white women, these white liberal arts, feminist attaining women. They want to have a title because you got to call them doctor, right? Me personally, it's like, unless you're a medical doctor, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. If you're a medical doctor, that's one thing. If you're an engineer or physicist, okay, I'll go for that. But if you just got a doctorate in feminist studies, it's like you can forget it. It's like if you got a doctorate in underwater basket weaving, you can forget it. If you got a doctorate in... Do you realize that some of these schools, they literally have PhD programs for like the most worthless shit that you could possibly think of. Things that are... Like, if somebody says it, you just think, no, that can't be true. That's a joke. That has to be a joke. And then you find out, wait a minute, that's true. It's crazy. But anyway, Yes, it says Dr. Yvonne Alford received an email from leadership at her job that the federal government had chosen to revoke the organization's active federal grants. At the time, Alford, who's 33, had been working as the senior policy analyst at a criminal justice reform nonprofit organization in Detroit. As a result of the budget cuts, all work related to projects that were funded by these grants ceased. Organization-wide layoffs followed, affecting Alford and 75% of the staff. Alford is among the roughly 300,000 black women who exited the U.S. labor. No. They didn't exit shit. They were fired. They didn't exit nothing. Nobody quits. When you need money to keep paying for that GLE that doesn't have the heated, cooled massage seats, you didn't quit that job. No, you lost that job. You were either fired or laid off. Okay, who exited the U.S. labor force in just 3 months? A shift tied directly to federal policy decisions. The most immediate cause has been sweeping cuts across public sector agencies, historically one of the few reliable pathways to middle-class stability for black women. Oh, no. I could name another one. What you could have done was you could have married a high-value black man, and he could have literally given you what is it called? An allowance to keep his house, and to be his wife. But you weren't willing to work under no man. You're not willing to work under a black man. So now you're taking your chances out there with Trump and his economy. How's that going? Huh? Exactly. That's how it's going. Where am I? It says the most immediate cause has been sweeping cuts across public sector agencies, historically one of the few reliable pathways to middle-class stability for black women. Though they make up just more than 6% of the overall 6%, the overall workforce, black women account for more than 12% of federal employees. These positions have long offered pensions, benefits, and more equitable pay than the private sector, where wage disparities remain stubbornly fixed. The private sector is a mess simply because the public sector has grown so much. Most economists, especially people like Peter Schiff, would argue that the government crowds out the private sector. The government ends up sucking up better workers because those better workers who are smart enough to focus on job security rather than higher upfront pay. The regular economists, they would argue that the government is part of the reason the public sector sucks so bad. Now, does that mean that they don't hire, the best, the brightest, and the talented? Oh, of course it doesn't. They do. But here's the problem. Most of these workers are not the best, the brightest, and the most talented. The mathematicians, the STEM engineers, science, technology, engineer, math, those are the people who make the big bucks. Now, if you've got some PhD from fucking ed doctorate or some shit like that, you're deep in debt for getting that degree, chances are a corporate job is not really looking for you that much. Chances are what they're really looking for is, they want somebody who's a STEM professional. That's what they really want. But anyway, it says these positions have long offered pensions, benefits, and more equitable pay. It was an extremely traumatic experience for me because this was my first time ever being laid off, said Alford, who once viewed the public sector as a stable industry. Had I been laid off because of my own merit, then it would have been easier for me to deal with. But it was just the fact that this administration chose to not prioritize something that we actually were aligned with in the last administration cost me my job. Administrations come and go. You have no idea what the next president's going to be like. I think it's going to be a Democrat personally. J.D. Vance is a joke. He's not winning a national election. All of those people, and you know who you are, who refused to vote for Kamala Harris, so you didn't show up to the polls, you're getting your asses kicked so hard by Trump. You can't even turn on the television without suffering from PTSD. I watch Instagram, I watch TV, I see exactly what you see. I see those ICE agents knocking down doors and kicking ass and dragging people away. I see it. I know you see it. So I honestly believe Kamala Harris was a terrible candidate. A terrible candidate. The problem is now you're being forced to recognize that you should have chosen either the lesser of two evils, or you should have picked Diet Coke instead of the real Coke. With Trump, you got the real Coke. Kamala Harris was Diet Coke. And now you're getting your asses kicked. So I personally believe, especially considering with these new voters who are going to be added onto the rolls, the next president is most likely going to be a Democrat. It probably will be a woman. I personally think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a very good shot at being the next president. Now, will she run? I have no idea. But it's possible. You see, right now, I'm in New York City, and we're expecting very soon to be swearing in Mamdani. Now, white America don't want to see Mamdani as a New York mayor. A lot of them do not want to see that. Trump's MAGA doesn't want to see that. Trump's called this man a communist, socialist, all this. The man is he's a self-said Democrat socialist, right? Thing about it, ain't shit that Trump could do about it, because this is called representative democracy for a reason. But if the people have their asses kicked enough and the pain is widespread enough, they will eventually turn to somebody who's nothing like what the establishment has presented them as a choice. Trump is trying to fix our election. He tried to push Eric Adams out, supposedly offering him money to get out because he's trying to clear the field for Cuomo. He knows Sliwa has no chance. He probably wants to get Sliwa out of there, so it'll come down to Mamdani versus Cuomo. Cuomo's getting his ass kicked and handed to him because the mistake the Democrats made was first of all, they shouldn't have forced Cuomo out. The mere fact that Trump could be a multiple convicted felon and he has all these allegations and he's got all these allegations of rape and sexual assault and all this on him. Cuomo, supposedly, the only allegations against him were that he made bad choices during COVID for like elderly people. And supposedly there was some sexual allegation. I think it said something about him grabbing booty or something in the office or something. I don't know exactly what that allegation was. The bottom line is the Democrats should not have forced him out or had him. They should have told him, listen, stay and we'll fight for you. And that's what they should have done. That Me Too movement bullshit pushed him out. And once they got rid of him, they basically gave the governorship over to Hochul, who's a dingbat. That's a word you don't even really hear anymore. She's a dingbat. The only thing, she's done very little that I appreciate. Like, there's only like two things that I could kind of say, okay, were good moves. For the most part, she's a dingbat. They pushed Eric Adams out when Eric Adams went up against her because of the illegal immigration. Eric Adams, New York, prostitution has gone up, crime had gone up, homelessness had gone up. So Eric Adams is literally flying to these other countries and telling these people stop coming to New York. Meanwhile, you got Texas Governor Abbott shipping these people up here. Nobody charged. Now, I had people arguing, oh, yeah, he's going to get charged with human trafficking. I was like, no, he's not. Well, who are you talking about? No, he's not. If the Biden administration didn't charge Governor Abbott with human trafficking while they were in office, then what makes you think that Trump was going to do it? Trump wasn't going to do that. Governor Abbott basically gave Trump the election, basically, by shipping illegal immigrants from the border towards these blue states. And they were too stupid and too slow to respond to it. I saw what was happening. I mentioned it. I was like, wait a minute. How the fuck is this guy shipping these people to these other states? You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to spread the pain around. That's what he's trying to do. So the governor was basically making it so that all that fear and pain that was being felt at these border states, that you were feeling it all around the country. And to some extent, it looked like the Biden administration was basically allowing it to happen and working with him because, he had open borders, for God's sakes. Abbott didn't control the border. The federal government does. Anyway, bottom line is, what happened. Trump's in office, and now you're going to pay for it. So hopefully during the next election, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. I think once Trump terrorizes these people enough, I think they'll be ready to basically vote for anything on the other side of the ticket at that point. But again, that's exactly how somebody like Zoran Mondani gets in. And once you kick these people's asses enough and you torture them enough, they're ready to vote for anything. They would vote for my ceiling fan if it ran for president, just to get Trump out of office. If they could. If they could. My ceiling fan could put on a suit, and we put a suit on my ceiling fan, and we put that shit at the podium and say, yeah, you're running for president. They would vote for that. They really would. That's how desperate they would be. Once you kick their asses and torture them psychologically enough, they'll vote for Cookie Monster in a suit if they could. If anything, any Grover, Ernie, Bert, they'll vote for anything. It's true. So anyway, it says working under the constant threat of job loss can create a psychological climate of fear. Yep. For African-American women, that fear isn't just about employment. It's about identity, safety. Oh, you mean you expect me to call you doctor? Right, because it's kind of hard for me to call you doctor if you're unemployed. So anyway, it's about identity, safety, dignity, and spaces where we are already underrepresented and under-resourced. Said here we go. Another doctor. We've got Dr. Rajanique Modest, an industrial and organizational psychologist and author of After the Layoff, Reclaiming Power When Stability Disappears. It shows up in how we engage or don't engage with leadership and influences how safe we feel speaking up. Yeah. In unstable work environments, self-advocacy is often the first casualty. Modest says, when job security feels shaky, most employees retreat into survival mode. It becomes a heads-down situation. Yeah, keep your head down, you don't lose your job, hopefully. People avoid drawing attention to themselves out of fear they might be the next on the chopping block. Even for Black women who have been spared from layoffs at their organization, the sense of belonging and psychological safety might wither. For Black women, connections at work often serve as more than just friendships. They can be a crucial part of navigating the workplace, said Modest. When others are let go, it often means the loss of community, a safety net, and a sense of stability. Suddenly you find yourself alone in spaces where you once felt supported. For Duke, a 28-year-old account supervisor in Washington, D.C., who survived 3 rounds of company-wide layoffs. This guy's a survivor. At her advertising agency after the current administration ended federal contracts with the organization. The months since April have been marked by constant anxiety and feeling a need to overperform. She prescribed waking in the middle of the night, bracing herself for an email from HR or her manager signaling she'd be next. Every Sunday, I was checking my emails to see if I had an invite, said Duke, who's using an alias because she is still employed at her company. Going into the office, the morale is low. You couldn't really plan ahead because you didn't know if this would be your last paycheck. That uncertainty seeped into her personal life as well. When her lease was up for renewal, she delayed signing until the very last minute. I just didn't know if I was going to have a job, she explained. As a first generation, God damn, this is long. But anyway, as a first-generation college graduate, Duke had grown up believing higher education would provide stability. You're told to get a degree and you'll be set for life, she said, but the reality she's facing in corporate America has been far different. One minute you're on top and doing great, and the next you're laid off. We've seen that across every sector, tech, healthcare, and now even the federal space. In June, Black women faced the largest job searches of any group, spending an average of more than 6 months unemployed before securing new work. For Black women like her, that volatility doesn't just undermine career expectations, it chips away at a sense of security. Okay, we've heard this part already. I was so excited because you always hear that the public sector is the safest. Once you're in for life. Well, yeah, as long as you don't do anything stupid. She explained the sudden unraveling of that assumption was devastating. To have that ripped away is jarring. The rupture goes beyond lost income. It disrupts mental health and future planning. Instead of imagining long-term career growth, many Black women are recalibrating around avoidance. From what I've seen and what I agree with, a lot of people are going to stay away from the public sector for at least the next 3 years because it feels so unstable. This is a lot, and it keeps on going, too. These articles just keep going. All right. So bottom line is, I don't have to keep reading this. You can read the shit yourself. But the long story is, these women, it's just like I keep complaining about, like I pass by the construction sites. You've got the big men, got the jackhammer, they're sweating and they're doing the hard, difficult, dangerous, dirty job. What are the women doing? They're carrying a construction sign. It says stop, it says slow down. They're just carrying the sign around. The men are there chipping away at rock and gravel and dirt, and the women are just walking around holding the sign. Oh, well, what do you expect? You expect her to do the jackhammer? Yes, I expect her to do the jackhammer. If you're there, what good are you if you're not doing the difficult, dangerous, dirty jobs? Corporate KIESHA is exactly what you see in this picture. That's corporate KIESHA right there. And corporate KIESHA, that also extends to Becky, corporate Becky. That extends to corporate Becky. That extends to corporate Maria. That extends to corporate Mei Ling. These women have basically chosen these big title corporate jobs over being at home and being a mom. In sociology, they refer to it as the mommy track because you can't do both. There's no way that you can have children and simultaneously go to school or maintain a corporate job while taking care of your kids. Something is going to get neglected. Now, with a corporate job, the moment you neglect the job, that's when the job lays you off or fires you. With a public service job, the public service jobs that most of these women choose is usually education. They'll choose education over, say, policing or firefighting or something like that. And the reason why is because they'll be off pretty much exactly when their kids are off. And that's actually not a bad idea. The issue comes when they're trying to move up in that education profession and they're trying to be a principal, assistant principal, or something like that. What you'll probably notice is a lot of these assistant principals and principals, a lot of them aren't married and don't have children. And you can spot corporate KIESHA when you see her because she's very, very obvious, and she usually has a PhD or a doctor title. You have to call a doctor. It's always doctor this, doctor that. And the crazy thing about it is you have to also check behind them because sometimes they haven't even finished those PhDs. Because PhD, when you have those programs, a lot of them get to that dissertation, and at that point they shut down or they can't finish because they can't afford it. So some of them, you hear of them in these programs, but you never hear of them finishing. A PhD program is really something you're supposed to be invited to. They're seeking them out to get into them just because they want that title. Now, they know they want that title, and they need to keep these jobs rolling. So they need to keep money coming into these positions. When one of them gets one of these PhDs, you're talking about $80,000 worth of student loans. PhDs ain't cheap. There's somewhere in between $40,000 and $100,000 typically. And that's unless you go to one of these really big name schools. Now, if they were lucky enough to get grants and scholarships and stuff to do it, which chances are they did not, because there's usually not many grants or scholarships for these things, unless it's in a STEM field. But when you're talking about ed doctorates and you're talking about these liberal arts degrees, no. They're paying for that. Usually they get to that dissertation and it all falls apart because if it's not the money, it's the time, it's the energy. A lot of them can't write. A lot of them really can't write. So they're looking to get somebody to ghostwrite their dissertation for them. It's really sad. But long story short, corporate KIESHA chose the corporation over having a husband, specifically having her black husband and having her black children. So leads into what I was talking about in that other story last time I made a video. I was talking about the birth rates in America. We're down to 1.6. We're supposed to be at like 2.7. So that means that you're supposed to be having kids basically when you're in your 20s. This bullshit about waiting until you're 30 and 40, all you're doing is setting yourself up for geriatric pregnancy. What they've done is, because a lot of these women are so out of shape, what they've done is they've basically made the C-section, that's like a growth industry at this point. In fact, I should be able to buy a dividend-paying stock in C-sections at this point. That's how bad this has gotten. So basically, they have this saying, one and done. These chicks are getting pregnant. They get themselves cut open. They open them up like a fridge. And like you and you close the fridge. You open the fridge, close the fridge, right? And one and done. So what are they doing? They have a 1.7 burst, 1.6 burst, I should say, and they're supposed to be at 2.7. America, everything about this country is literally collapsing. So when they say, like in this story, when they say that this is basically a warning sign for the U.S. economy, no, black women losing their jobs to me is not a warning sign for the U.S. economy. White women losing their jobs to me is a warning sign for the U.S. economy. When I see white women knocking on my door, and I open it up and be like, yes, hi, what are you doing here? And they'd be like, I'm in a bind, Nate. I'm in a bind, Nate. When I hear white women, when I got German girls coming to my door trying to switch something that I'm doing, that's when I worry. I'm not worried about KIESHA losing her job, because I already recognize that those jobs are these cushy, soft office jobs where you're really not doing anything except dressing for work. But when I got German girls and they're coming to my door, shit. When you got the Ukraine girl on the bus or the train, and she's got to take the bus or the train, and she's got to come to my door. What was her name? Zaruska? I can't even remember her name. I cannot remember her last name. I can't remember her first name. Is Zarutska or something? When I got Zarutska come to my door asking me if I want to buy solar panels from Ukraine, that's when I worry. Okay? That right there tells me, yeah, we're in trouble. Black women's unemployment is rising fast, and it's a bad sign for everyone. Yeah, okay. You know, this one looks exactly like the last one. This corporate KIESHA. She got the little corporate white shirt on. It says black women have long been the backbone of the American economy. Okay, wait, let's just stop right there. No, they haven't. No, they have not. Okay? No, they have not. They work more hours than almost any other group of women. Well, that's your fault. Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales, he had a saying, and I'll never forget it, and I always lived by it. Very simple saying. He said, work smarter, not harder. If you want to kill yourself working, that's your business. But that's got nothing to do with me. I intend to do as little as I can and to maximize my efficiency so that I get as much out of it as possible. A lot of these people are retiring and then realizing that they're either deep in debt and they can't retire, or their kids are deep in debt and they can't retire. I'm like, wait a minute. If my kids are in debt, that's not my problem. You work for that. When I retire, you're not going to see me doing shit, except I'm going to be on a beach, wife half my age, foreign girl, and she going to be rubbing coconut oil on me and feed me buko juice. You ain't going to see me working beyond retirement. I'm not doing it. So I'm putting my dividend-paying stocks, I'm putting all my stuff in a row right now. Because when retirement hits, I intend to go into that pension office. Yes, hand me my pension. And I will be on that till Social Security and whatever savings and income I got from my properties. You will not see me doing this fucking bullshit where you have to work beyond retirement. I'm not doing any of that. I've been paying into Social Security since I had my first job sweeping floors at a mobile mart across the street from my school, my high school. I'm not working beyond retirement. I don't give a shit what they raise the Social Security age to. If I have to, I will move to Philippines. I will move to Thailand. I will move to Bali, whatever it is. And that'll be where I'll stay. And I'll be living on $2,000 a month or less. And I'll have this young chick cooking my food. And that's it. I have no aspirations beyond that. No aspirations. People used to ask me, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be this. I want to be that. Now, when they ask me that shit, I'd be like, no, I want to be retired. Okay? That's it. I have no aspirations. Call me shallow. I'll accept it. Let's see. It says, yet they continue to face some of the deepest and most persistent inequalities in the job market. The latest data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that after years of progress, black women's unemployment rate is once again on the rise. It is happening quietly while the national numbers make the job market look healthy. First of all, you can't trust the national job market numbers because Trump is a liar, and he already showed us that if you show him the truth in the numbers, he will fire you and he'll hire somebody to cook the books. We've seen it. This is not Trump derangement syndrome. I can't make this shit up. He literally did it last month, twice. So I can't even make that shit up. That's not Trump derangement syndrome. That's called the truth. If you show him what the truth is, he will fire you and he'll hire somebody else to show him some fake ass shit. And then the government finally had to fess up and say, yeah, the numbers were bullshit. And they actually came out and literally said it. Anyway, it says in January 2021, the country, okay, they're talking about COVID. It says the pandemic's hit was severe because black women are overrepresented in industries like hospitality, retail, education, and healthcare sectors that suffered some of the biggest job losses during lockdowns. Okay, it says as the economy reopened in late 2021 and 2022, job growth returned, and the gains were significant. Black women's unemployment fell to around 4.8% by late 2021, and in March 2023, it reached an all-time low of 4.2%. Economists pointed to this as proof that when the economy is strong, black women can make historic gains despite the barriers they face. It looked like the long-standing gap between black women's unemployment and the national average might finally start to close. The improvement did not last. By mid-2025, unemployment for black women had jumped back up to 6.3%. That is nearly double the unemployment rate for white women at just over 3% and 1.7 times higher than the overall U.S. unemployment rate at 4.2%. Between March and May 2025, black women's unemployment rose by a full percentage point while rates for most other groups stayed the same. For 3 straight months in the summer of 2025, black women's unemployment has hovered at or above 6%, making them the only major demographic to see such a sharp and sustained increase. Economists call this a warning sign because historically economic downturns show up in black women's unemployment first before spreading to other groups. All right, so you remember when they were bragging and they were talking about how educated they were, and they were saying, oh, yeah, well, we're the most educated? Well, we all know that was cap, and we all know that the most educated really translates to the most deeply in student loan debt. That's what that translates to. Yeah, you may have a PhD, but if you have $80,000 worth of loans, then the question is, how efficient is it to have that PhD? Understand something. I got 2 master's degrees. I went through this exact same system. I was told too, yeah, you should go get a PhD. I was like, for what? There's no point. All I'd be doing is taking out more debt. So I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to get a fucking PhD. Besides, if I were to go and try to get a PhD, I'd want to talk about things like I'm doing right now, and they wouldn't want me talking about those things. They wouldn't want to green light this shit. So the bottom line is, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not taking out loans like that. The average master's degree in one of these private schools is like, you're talking about $40,000 to $50,000. I did the entire degree for $18,000 in an accredited CUNY Queens college and paid it off, all those student loans, paid that off within 3 years by, YouTubing, doing, stock investments, doing stuff like that. It was like I was basically working a second job and applying 100% of the money towards the student loans. I paid that shit off 10 years early? Federal government said, yeah, we're going to charge you 6.875% on these loans. I was like, fuck no, you're not. And I was like, I'm gonna pay this shit off before the deferment ends. Paid it off. You got these women driving up debt. They used to have the term career student. And they used to say, yeah, they stay in it. See, what it is you can stay in deferment as long as you're a full-time student. So what they were doing was they were going to school and signing up full-time in order to stay in deferment. As long as they stayed in deferment, yeah, your debts continued to grow and you continue to get more degrees. But the problem was the debts were deferred, so you didn't get hit with those bills. So you could have your Mercedes GLE without the heated, cooled massage seats. You could have your GLC. You could have your E-Class, your C-Class, your BMW X6, your X3. Thing about it is, under this dude Trump, they ain't got such luxuries. Such luxuries are disappearing very quickly. So anyway, what is this? The reasons behind the spike are rooted in structural inequalities. Public sector cuts in 2025 hit black women especially hard. Black women make up about 12% of the federal workforce compared to only 7% of the private sector. When budget tightening led to layoffs in agencies like the Department of Education. Okay, and what did I say? That was the first thing Trump hit. Then you get to Health and Human Services. Nobody could have imagined that Trump would pick that stooge RFK. Nobody could have imagined that Trump would pick that stooge to lead Health and Human Services. Nobody could have imagined that. And then HUD. Last time it was Dr. Ben Carson. I don't even know who they got there right now. Thousands of black women lost stable government jobs. Between February and March 2025 alone, 266,000 black women lost employment. Corporate America also pulled back on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the past 2 years, a sector where black women were heavily represented. When those roles disappeared, so did the jobs for many of the women leaving to work. So here's the thing. All those black women that were bragging about how educated they were and bragging about how much better they were doing than black men. The black men who had blue-collar work, asked them how many of them lost their jobs during 2020 to 2025. Ask them how many of them lost their jobs. I had an electrician come here to install the electric charger for my Cadillac before I even got it. So that was like roughly close to 2 years ago. That was an electrician, black electrician, man. Not a woman, a man. He was working. He didn't have to worry about the Department of Education. He didn't have to worry about the Department of Human Services. He was working with his hands. I got to get a roofer to come here to inspect part of the roof because, we get like very windy and it can damage the roof and everything. There's also one of these DirecTV dishes. I want that shit taken and thrown out because I don't see any point of it even being up there. Bottom line is, that's a man who's going to do that job. That's not a woman. They ain't got to worry about it. During COVID, I had to have my oil tank. I had to have my oil tank removed, and I had to have a new oil tank brought in. Guess who did that? Those were men. Those weren't women. Those were men who did that. So the bottom line is they were working. The women, they sitting at home, laid off, furloughed. Now, this is just the beginning of Trump's second term. Question is, what else is he going to go after? I'm not worried. I positioned myself just like on a chessboard. I positioned myself. It doesn't matter what Trump does. Unless he declares nuclear war, I'm going to be fine. And these women are losing their jobs. So here's the thing. I'm here in my house. I'm looking at my ceiling fan. I should have turned it on a long time ago, but I didn't get up and turn it on. And all I'm wondering is, see, right now it's 10:35? Sooner or later, you get that knock on the door. I'm in a bind, Nate. Sooner or later, that knock comes. It never, ever fails. And when I'm at my most peaceful and I'm just chilling and I'm having a good time doing absolutely nothing and I have the time to rest and think, next thing you know, there goes that knock. I'm in a bind, Nate. Sometimes it's Latina. It's Latina solar salesman. Sometimes it's German Verizon girl. Sometimes it's solar powered this or so. It's like, yo, listen. And you know, it was so funny. When I got that knock, I wanted to take a nap, and sure enough, this knock comes when I'm about to take a nap, and I got German Becky at the door trying to put me on fucking Verizon. And I had a good mind to not even check and see who she was. And I was like, I looked out there, I was like, oh shit, is this another one of these goddamn solar panel salespeople? But I looked out there and I said, oh, wait a minute. First of all, what is this blonde girl doing here at this hour? Second of all, it looks like that strap around her neck says Verizon. So, sure enough, I gave her a chance, and I ended up giving her whatever sale. I don't know how they pay these people. I guess there's a commission or something. But I ended up giving her that conversion sale, whatever it is. Bottom line is, when I'm at my most quiet and peaceful, I get that knock on the door. I'm in a bind, Nate. It never fails. And that's just what it is. You know, and as for my tenants, yeah, you better have my rent when I pull up on you. But see, I don't have to pull up on them because I had them sign direct deposit ACH withdrawals. So that means that I get their money before they get their money. And I like that because I don't like having to look for people. The only time they call me is when they need something. Like last time I had to get them air conditioners. The only other thing I think I had to do was I had to do something. Oh, with the plumbing. But the bottom line is, I don't want to hear shit. When I don't care what your situation with the government is. When my rent is due, make sure my rent is ready to be deducted from your bank account, and that's it. Because the only other option you got is, I'm in a bind, Nate. And my thing is, it's like, yo, listen, it's like I ain't trying to hear that. I want my money. You know, I'm in a bind, Nate. It's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. But I'm in a bind, Nate. It's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So basically, that's the story. I mean, you could read the rest of this, but you already see where this is going. In fact, maybe you don't see where this is going because the Trump administration is just getting started. He's terrorizing these people. But this is what it looks like. So all that bragging that they did when Kevin Samuels was here about how all the ladies independent, throw your hands up in there, all that bragging. Oh yeah, well, our literacy rate is high. It's like, listen, first of all, I knew you were full of shit then, and I know you're full of shit now. So now the numbers are coming out and they're telling everybody what the truth is, and there ain't not much you can do about it. So I have no idea how this ends. First of all, I don't even know if half of y'all are going to make it through the next year. I really don't. Because, you know, when you know, it's sad that this is what it is. But I said it again. It's like, yo, listen, the second Trump swore in, you should have had your shit packed because you already knew he was coming. He was coming after you. Letitia James, Bragg, all of you. Y'all should have known he was coming. I knew it. Why didn't you? But I don't know what to say, guys. It's rough out there. It's rough out there. So that's all I really had to say. But corporate KIESHA, your days are numbered. What you should have done was you should have found yourself a black man and you should have worked for him instead of working for Brad. See, to me, it reminds me of Uhura on the Starship Enterprise. That's what it reminds me of. You got Captain Kirk up there. Captain Kirk is busy banging up Neilman Janice Rand or Janice Rand or whatever the hell her name was. He's got green bitches in his room. He's got these Deltons. He's got the Deltons with the bald heads. So they literally got bald head women called Deltons, and they're sex maniacs on Star Trek. That was the motion picture. If you remember the motion picture, you remember the bald head chick. Captain Kirk had it. He had it all. So what he got right next to him, to his right side? He got Uhura sitting over there. And where's he got her? He's got her on the phone. It never fails. Every time I go into one of these offices, these corporate CEO buildings, they always got these Keishas on the phone. It never fails. I swear to God, they must have gotten this from Captain Kirk and Star Trek. I'm thinking they did. But the bottom line is, corporate Keisha's days are numbered. Now, after Trump is long gone, oh yeah, it might turn around. It might. But Trump he got rid of all this DEI and everything. And corporate Keisha's in trouble. LGBT Keisha's in trouble. LGBT Becky's in trouble. Green hair, nose rings in trouble. Tongue rings in trouble. All that's in trouble. This dude wasn't joking. He came in there. He was like, oh yeah, I've got a sweeping mandate. Yeah, he sure did. My thing is, I'm just lucky that nothing he does affects me at this point. And the funny thing is, he has to focus on, because he was talking, now I haven't seen it, but he was focused. He said he was going to cut taxes. He's talking about, what is it called? Stimulus checks that come from the tariff refunds and all this shit. I haven't seen none of that yet. The bottom line is, all that does is help me, because if he sends me tax return, stimulus check, any of that shit, because he's trying to prove what a great job he's not doing or whatever, bottom line is, I'm just going to roll that into my stock portfolio into my retirement. And that's just it. Because the stock market's doing fabulous in spite of the shit that he's pulling with these tariffs. Yeah, he's hurting the farmers, but the stocks are up. So it's like, I'm not a farmer. I ain't worried about it. I'm not a farmer. And if things go real bad for the farmers, I'll get my shit from overseas. And I'll just pay the tariff on the oranges or the fruits or whatever it is. In fact, I started growing my own food. I started growing tomatoes. Next year, I'm doing potatoes, tomatoes, lambs, rams, hogs, dogs. My next door neighbor, or one of them, has chickens because they're Hispanic. And I'm like, well, if he can have a chicken coop, I can have a chicken coop. So if I really wanted to, I could raise some damn chickens. And I can have chicken like every single other day. Chop them to I'll pet them and everything. I'll be nice to them and everything. But when it comes time for dinner, I'm going to chop your head off. And you're going in the oven. It's just that simple. If I really wanted to, I could probably raise pigs. I might be able to raise some farm animals. Who knows? Because I've got a little piece of land. So I could literally do that. Right now, it's just tomatoes and thyme and avocados. But for all you know, it's like I might be raising potatoes, tomatoes, ham, lamb, dog. I might be raising all that stuff. You don't know. But all I'm saying is, for corporate Keisha, time is up. Under Trump, time is up, corporate Keisha. You had your chance. Time is up now, corporate Keisha. Time is up.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, yeah, I can do that. But I mean, Tony Newsom got to give me a reason to do that. You know what I mean?
And what would that be?
Oh, come on now, you know.
To be continued.